Hi, this is Sarah Marks again. For this video, I'm going to share 4 tips on creating new entries. In the past 2 years, I've gotten more involved in creating new entries and approving those that others create. I am what's called a new page reviewer, which means I visit new entries and identify problems that need to be addressed. No citations, no categories, things like that, for example. I can nominate pages for deletion, and I can simply approve them. What is the review process for new entries and pages? Each time a new entry, page, or article is created, a volunteer editor comes through and reviews it. It doesn't matter if you're done working on it or if it's still being developed. We are asked to make sure the entry is appropriate, has citations, has links, and more. It's a role that has to be approved by administrators, which are other volunteers. I then get to see a feed of newly created pages and then curate that page. This means I can add tags to identify what is missing, nominate it for deletion, thank the editor for his or her contribution, or simply mark it as reviewed. The following tips are based on my experience with this role. In last video, I mentioned that I had options on my toolbars that you might not. This is why. Here's the biggest problem I see. Editors work on new pages live on Wikipedia, but they aren't ready for everyone to see. As soon as a page is saved for the first time, it gets added to the new page feed. New page reviewers will only see the work you've done and evaluate it based on that. They don't know if you're still working on it. They may add a tag indicating it needs development, or even nominate it for deletion. And trust me, this is a mistake I made too, which is why I started researching this approval process. To avoid this problem, use your own sandbox to develop the entry as much as you can before making it live. I mentioned your sandbox in another video. This is where you can practice editing and create new entries. Here's an example from my sandbox again, on the entry that I'm slowly creating with a colleague. Nobody can find it through Wikipedia unless they know the location of the page, as in I sent them the address. My suggestion is to do all the work creating the new entry here. Reviewers aren't worried about sandbox pages because they know they're private spaces. This has all the same features as a normal page, and once you edit it, you just move it to the new location and permanent location. Now, occasionally a sandbox page may get marked as reviewed, but if it happens, let me know and I'll help you figure out what to do with those comments. Tip 2, link to other entries and have other entries linked to you. Linking to other articles is a critical part of what makes Wikipedia so popular. How many times have you just started clicking on links within the entries only to find that an hour of your life has passed and you don't know how you got to the entry you're looking at? When you create an entry, make sure you link to other entries. Don't go crazy, but make sure there are links connecting you to others. On the flip side, go to related entries and add links to your new entry. Reviewers are looking to see what links to your entry and where you link. Something without links can't be discovered. We call it an orphan article, and they get deleted because no one can find the links to get them there. Tip 3, add sources. Make sure you add good sources to your new entry. What's a good source? I find the most reliable sources are those that have some type of editorial review process. This typically includes books, news sources, magazines, and peer-reviewed articles. Those are the articles you find in library databases. Archives are usually very helpful for finding primary sources, including scans of photos, dead links, like those you can find through the Internet Archive and Wayback Machine, which are perfect for this, or scans of original documents. Government agencies are usually good places to find data. The census, for example, gives population data for different cities and towns. Be careful right now, as the current U.S. administration has been working to wipe data from these government web pages, especially on the topics that have been very politicized, like climate and sciences. It's a very weird situation, but they're working on it. There is also one newspaper you should try to avoid. That's the Daily Mail out of the UK. It recently made the news because it was, in the words of the press, banned by Wikipedia. Now, it's not fair to say it was banned. It can be used, but when you have to use it. They're known for unethical journalism, violations of privacy, bias and subjective reporting, amongst other problems. You can use them if you're talking about them and their activities, because they become a primary source for what happened. And you guys might be working on articles that talk about them. What is a bad source? Typically one that doesn't have an editorial review. So blogs and web pages often fall into this category. Other editors will frown on these sources. If you're writing about a person, their social media accounts and web pages might not be the most reliable because they're written to show the person in a positive light. That's some of the ways you can easily begin to spot the better and the not so great sources. And finally, tip 4, add categories. In another video, I talked about projects within Wikipedia and how they're used to collect articles about the same project so that editors can easily find and work on them. Categories are similar, but they're for the user instead of the editor. They're found at the very bottom of every entry, and there'll be tons of them. Some really specific, some a little broad. You can and should add categories to every entry you create. Now this screenshot shows the preferences on my account. You have a preferences link also. It's at the top bar where your username is. You want to activate a tool, a gadget, called Hotcat. And I put the web page in our notes. So you click on Preferences, click on Gadgets, and scroll down to the editing options. You'll select Hotcat. Once it's activated, you'll be able to scroll to the bottom of your pages and entries and use it to find the categories to fit within your article. You don't want to add categories until you've actually moved the page to its permanent location and it's live on Wikipedia. They don't want your sandbox pages listed under those categories. So that's it for this video. Let me know if you need to see videos and demo videos of setting up your sandbox, adding categories, or anything else I've talked about so far in these videos.